Hi, second grade. I have a central idea anchor chart in front of you that should look pretty familiar. We went over this last week, but we're going to read a new story here in just a second, and I wanted to take some time to go over this again. So remember, our central idea, look at this light bulb in the middle, is the most important idea or point about a topic. Every story has a central idea, and it's what the text is mostly about. The topic of a text might be stated in one or two words, and the central idea is usually a statement about the topic. So the topic is the person or thing that the text is mostly about. So when we think about central idea, it's the most important point about a topic, and our topic is the person or the thing that the text is about. And the central idea is what the author wants you as a reader to understand about this topic, the person or thing. You can figure out the central idea of a text by looking for clues, such as details, facts, or examples. We would call this supporting evidence. That would come from the text that you read. These clues are called supporting evidence because they support the central idea. So, thinking about your topic, who or what is the text mostly about? What does your reader want you to know about? Or the author, what does the author want you as a reader to know about the topic? What facts do you see in the book? What do they describe? What's the important idea that they tell you? So, as we're reading this story today, I want you to see if you can think about the central idea for this story. What is the most important idea or point about the topic? Who or what is the topic? And what are some things that you've heard or saw in the story that would tell you what the central idea might be? I think you all are really going to enjoy this story today. It's called the William Hoy story by Nancy Chernin. It's how a deaf baseball player changed the game. So, do any of you all know what it means to be deaf? If you are deaf, it means you cannot hear anything. So people who are deaf might have to hear in a different way since they can't hear the same way that we hear. This story was set a long time ago. So it's not a present day story. It happened a really long time ago. William scooped dust to dry the sweat off his slick rubber ball. He stared at the small X he'd chalked on the barn wall. He closed his eyes. He opened them and threw. Bam! He hit the mark. He stepped back so he could try again. His mother waved her arms. She was applauding him. She touched her fingers to her mouth to signal eating. He read her lips as she said dinner. William pulled out his pad and pencil. He scribbled, "Just a few more. I want to be perfect for tryouts." His mother nodded. So if you and I were to applaud someone, we would clap. But William can't hear clapping. So the way that his mother applauds him is by waving her arms around. And you'll notice that William, one way that he communicates is writing on a pad of paper. He can't hear. He's deaf, so some people who are deaf also have trouble speaking. So he communicates with his family through writing. His family was passing the mashed potatoes around the table when William pushed open the door. He read his father's lips telling him to wash up for dinner. He also read what his father's lips mouthed to his mother. "Baseball," his father said, shaking his head. "It will never last." Still, William couldn't wait to try out at his school, the Ohio State School for the Deaf. At tryouts, he threw the ball. He caught it. He batted. He waited. "Too small," the team captain said. William never got much taller than 5'5". He couldn't do anything about that. But maybe they'd give him another chance if he aimed better and ran faster. So every day after his homework and chores, he practiced. So think about William and his family. How are they able to talk with each other? Yeah, a couple different ways. William reads mouths or reads lips So if he can see a person's lips, he can see what they're saying. And then he also communicates through writing. And it makes me wonder, his mom, waved her arms around instead of applauding him. I wonder if maybe they communicate with little hand signals like that too. Let's see. One day, William was standing outside the cobbler shop where he fixed shoes, wistfully watching men play baseball in a far-off field. A foul ball crashed by his feet. With his strong, sure arm, he threw the ball straight into an amazed player's waiting hand. "Hey, kid," the player called. "Want to join us?" But William couldn't read the player's lips from where he was, so he turned back to work. The man ran to William and tapped his back to get his attention. William whirled around, and this time, when the man repeated the questions, he understood. He scrambled happily to the outfield. William threw the ball smack into his teammate's hands. When he was up at bat, he sent it soaring where no one could catch it. Looks to me like William's doing pretty well right now. "What's your name?" asked one of the players. "William Hoy," William wrote. The man looked at the piece of paper for a long time. He seemed to be thinking. "Do you want to try out for our team?" he asked William at last. William grinned. He sure did. So how do you think William's feeling right now? Yeah, probably pretty excited, I would say. William soon learned life in the hearing world wasn't easy. Unlike his parents, few people used sign language in the 1800s, and certainly not in baseball. He won a spot on the first team he tried out for, but the manager smirked when he offered William less money than he paid the others. "I quit," William told him with his notebook. He quickly found another team. But on his new team, some players talked behind his back so he wouldn't know what they were saying. Others hid their mouths so he couldn't read their lips. So it says that William learns that life in the hearing world's not easy. What is some supporting evidence from the text that would tell us that he was learning that? Absolutely. The manager actually offered William less money than the other players because he was deaf. And the new players on the team would cover their mouths with their hands, and they would talk behind him so he couldn't hear them. And he's kind of learning that he may be a little different than everybody else. So look at William. How do you think that that's making him feel? Yeah, probably pretty sad and upset. So what would you do right now if you were William? Would you stop and walk away from baseball? Or would you press on? Let's see what William does. One day, a pitcher played the meanest trick of all. William let 3 pitches go by because he thought they were balls. He was too far to read the umpire's lips and didn't know they were actually strikes. He stood, gripping his bat, waiting for the next pitch, but the next pitch never came. William was confused. Suddenly, the pitcher burst out laughing. He pointed to the fans in the stands, laughing too. William's face grew hot. He walked off quickly. He wasn't going to cry, not about baseball, he told himself. So, you think William's going to quit? Let's find out. He jammed his hands in his pockets. Paper crunched against his fist. He pulled out a letter from his mother. He read again how much she missed him. William missed his family, too. He remembered how his mom would raise her arms to applaud him. That's it! William pulled out his pad and drew pictures. He scribbled words next to the pictures. He wrote, he wrote, he wrote. He ran to find the umpire. The umpire read William's notes. Yes, that could work, he said. The next time William was at bat, the umpire raised his right hand for a strike and his left for a ball. He used American Sign Language symbols for safe and out. This time William got on base. He stole bases. He scored. In his first year in the majors, he led the National League in stolen bases. With a strong, sure arm, he became the first player to throw 3 base runners out at the plate in one game from the outfield. So what was it that William asked the umpire to do? Absolutely. He can't read his lips because he's too far, and it almost looks like the umpire's behind him anyways. So instead of having to rely on reading lips, he asked the umpire if he would use these hand signals that you can see him using there. William taught his teammates signs so they could discuss plays without the other team hearing. They loved it. So you may have seen, if you've watched football or baseball or sports, often the players will communicate with hand signals so that the other team doesn't know what they're saying. And that was all Mr. William Hoy. The fans enjoyed learning signs too. In those days, before speakers and giant screens, hearing the umpire's calls from the back of the bleachers was hard to do. Now even the farthest member of the crowd could see the signals. So not only did the umpire love it and the teammates loved it, the crowd loved it too. Teams begged for William. He played for several years before signing with the Cincinnati Reds near his family's farm. When William stepped up to the plate, shaking his bat over his shoulder, fans knew he'd hit or walk his way to first, then swiftly steal his way around the bases. William was proud to show his parents that the boy who didn't make the school team was one of the most popular players in baseball. Carefully watching the signals, he led the American League in walks in 1901. He was called the King of Center Field because for 10 years, he was ranked among the top 5 outfielders to get hitters out by catching hard-to-reach fly balls. After William became a star, he thought nothing could surprise him. Then one day when he ran out onto the field, fans waved their arms from the stands just as his mother did when he was a boy. They waved hats, too. William said he'd never cry about baseball, but he did cry at the sight of deaf applause. All he'd wanted to do since he was a boy was find a way to play his favorite game. He never dreamed he'd change how the game was played, but he did, and we still cheer him today. So this was the William Hoy story. So I want you thinking about this central idea, the topic. What was the person or thing that the text was mostly about? Absolutely, it was all about William Hoy and how he changed baseball. So the central idea would be the most important idea about William Hoy. What do you think the author wants you to know about William Hoy? Yeah, I kind of agree. Changed baseball. He never gave up, and he saw a problem, and instead of walking away from a problem, he tried to solve it. And so if we were going to talk about supporting evidence from the text, what are some details or examples that told you that William Hoy didn't give up? Yeah, he taught the umpire and the crowd and his teammates these hand signals. He found a team that was very supportive of him, and he chose not to give up. He chose to keep going even when things got hard, and he said the hearing world was very hard. But he changed baseball and probably changed a lot of people's lives in the process. So that was the William Hoy story, and I hope that you enjoyed the story.